Good morning, Unity. Well, we are in the process of evolving out of not enough. How's it going so far? Wow, that's incredible. You're way ahead of me. Well, this is an exciting time as we go through this 6-week, 7-week process of learning how we can look at ourselves and find out where there's a sense of not enough within us. Because that is the one thing that's really holding us back. And the challenge is we come up with these ideas, right? This last week, if you're involved with the Fall Enrichment Program, you may have met with your small group and talk about the things that you want to, do in your life, the things you want to improve or what you want to grow or what you want to get out of, or perhaps a goal or a dream. Anybody have a goal or a dream that they want to think about in the next few days? Yes, we all have something. We're pulled up by Spirit. We're pulled up by Spirit to live a more full and abundant life, to live those principles. But the challenges are, we get all excited about that, and then what happens next? Yeah. Nothing happens after that. We get back to our old routines. We get back to our old patterns. And those dreams, that spark, that initial idea starts to become a distant little flicker in our consciousness. And what happens is that when we're looking to grow with what we want to accomplish and how we want to move forward, we have these ideas, these sparks that come. And we say, that's it. And then life happens. We get back to our old routines, right? So we're here to help us move beyond that point. And the first step in that process is making the decision. Making the decision. You can write that down. There'll be a test afterwards. Making the decision, right? Because we all have those goals and dreams and ideas, but the first thing that comes into our mind is, yeah, but... Have you experienced that? And it might be the idea of, yeah, but I don't have enough skills. Yeah, but I need to learn this, or first this needs to happen, or first all of those people outside of me need to change. So what happens during that time is we begin to drift. We begin to drift out of that sense of our oneness with Spirit. We have this idea, we might have an experience in meditation, and then we go home and life takes us into that drift of all of the things that are happening in our world that tend to distract us. You may be part of, or somebody who thinks, if I have a dream, I need to have a goal. And I need to have an action plan. And for some of us, it's a massive, giant, humongous action plan. And we spend so much time creating the action plan that we never actually start the doing, the walking, the being. Have you experienced that before? When I was in high tech, I had a colleague that was in the product marketing group, and he was finally promoted and given a product to take on, and so he made his lists, and he remade his lists. And he remade his lists. He put little flags next to them. But the problem was, nothing really ever moved forward because he was too focused on, what do I need to do? He was too focused in the sense of, I don't have enough skills. I don't have enough motivation. I don't have enough to move forward in that idea. So we start to distract ourselves. We may distract ourselves with, the dishes. Anybody need to do the dishes when they get home? That's the first thing you're going to do, Kent. We may distract ourselves with the gardening, with the shopping. We may distract ourselves with a good book. There's nothing wrong with any of those. I'm fully in favor of Kent doing the dishes. I'm fully in favor of clean clothes and, beautiful gardens and wonderful books. But those can also become distractions when we're trying to move in a certain direction and lift ourselves up. So those things aren't bad. It's just, when do we use them, or when do we go to them as a distraction from what we want to accomplish? So noticing when we are distracting ourselves with other things instead of doing what we think we ought to do, where the movement, where the initial idea was drawing us to. We may start to redirect. Right? I know one of my patterns that I've seen. Okay, one of my patterns, I just owned myself. I just outed myself. One of my patterns is if I see something or, there's a way I need to go, I start redirecting the energy. I start redirecting the energy into another project. I start redirecting the energy into something that's not quite as important, but it's easier. Oh, I hear a lot of yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then we start leaking energy. It's we're doing all of those things where we come out of it drained. Or we look at this idea, this grand vision of who we're supposed to be or who we've come here to be, our goal, and we look at it and it's draining us. And we just feel so tired that I'll get to that tomorrow. Well, it's 2 years later. And here we are. So when does that happen? Not if, when, because we all have that instinct within us. We all have that instinct that's within us to just slow down, everything's fine, exactly where you are, you're safe if you don't move from right here. The problem is we're not safe, and we won't ever grow if we don't decide to make that choice, right? We make the decision. So we're too busy focused on the shadow. Here's the thing, with every spark, there is a shadow. With every spark of light, every inspiration, every glimmer of ideas or fascination, anything that we're drawing, any spark within us, we see that, and yet it shines a light on us and reveals our shadow. And we're so busy focused on our shadow that we're not paying attention to the spark. We're so focused on the yeah buts, I can't do that because of this. And so then we start to treat the yeah buts. Right? Then we're focusing on the shadows and we're thinking, is this goal the right thing anymore? I can hardly remember what I said 2 weeks ago. Right? Is that the right thing? We might say, I don't have the right, fill in the blank, as a way of focusing on our shadow. We might say, I'm blaming other people or other conditions out there because I can't get to where I need to be because they won't do what I need them to do. And we might even blame it on fear. We might even say fear is the enemy. Fear is not the enemy. We might say fear is an absence of love. Fear is not an absence of love. Rather, it is the proof that there is love. It's a love with attachment. It's a love with attachment, afraid to lose something. That's what fear is. Fear is a great warning sign. And what it's telling us is there's something within us that needs to shift. And so when we're focused on all of those things, we're focused on the shadow, and the shadow is not the problem. Everyone take a nice deep breath. Because I know the contradiction in your head is like, yeah, but... I do question if this is the right thing. I do wonder because I get redirected. Well, maybe the universe doesn't want me to go in that direction. I do question those things. And I question them all the time. But the shadow is not the problem. That's the symptom. Your shadow self, those false beliefs, that shadow self, how that comes about and comes around is not the problem. It's just the symptom of the false belief that lies underneath it. And that's where our power lies. If we go to that false belief and start to question it, that's where we can move beyond it. That's where we bring the shadow into the light and say, hey, look at me. Look how I redirect. And I'm aware of it. Isn't that great? You can say yes, it's okay. The key word there was aware. Right? But notice your resistance. Notice the resistance to the symptom. Because none of us likes to feel the symptoms. We want to feel the goodness. But the belief is the cause of those symptoms. And so we treat the cause. We look at how we can evolve out of that belief that we are not enough. The belief of I am not enough. The belief of I am not worthy. The belief of there is not enough, which is an extension of I'm not enough. And so here's where the key turning point lies in your decision to say, here's my goal. Here's my dream. I know that I want to evolve out of this idea. I know I want to of not enough. I know I want to accomplish greater things. More importantly, I want to be greater things. I want to be that light in the world. I want to shine that light into the world. And so when we have that turning point, this decision point, all we have to do is say yes and make the decision to move in that direction. Now that sounds easy, doesn't it? And the challenges come back to, the shadow knowing, okay, here are the symptoms. And here's the point. If you see those symptoms in you and you're aware of them and you're aware, oh, here's where I'm drifting. Oh, here's where I'm blaming. Oh, here's where I'm moving my direction somewhere else. What great strength there is in that awareness. Instead of making that your enemy, make that your friend. Oh, here I am. I'm doing it again. Well, let me just right the ship. Let me just move with ease and grace over here. It makes a big difference, the mentality that you take around it. Because when you're blaming and shaming yourself about all of the things that you're doing that's preventing you from reaching your goal, all of that shadow material that you're blaming, shaming, and guilting yourself about, it's dragging you down even more. That becomes the lens through which you see. That solidifies that belief in you. The belief is right. I'm not enough. Here's my proof. Let me unpack my shadow for you. It's something that I created, and I own it. And when I own it, then I can bring it into the light and make friends with it and say it's okay, because I know it's just the belief that lies behind it that I'm not enough. So how do we do that? How do we start this process? Well, if you have something that you're working on, and a lot of people raise their hands when they said they had goals or dreams or something they wanted to accomplish in life, something they want to be in life, greater sense of self, what Casey called that I am consciousness, of living into that I am consciousness that was ushered in so many years ago, and living more into that. Well, first, we need to take a look at our vision, because most of us have very cloudy visions. We have this idea that's out there, and yet we're coming at it from that sense of not enough. We're coming at it from that belief of not enough. So get clear on your vision from the standpoint of I'm overflowing, and this is my natural next step. In Unity, we teach that you are an original blessing. We teach that each of you is that spark of divinity. And we teach that each of you is that individual spark that looks and shines brightly, uniquely as you. And so when we own that part of us, we're coming from that part of us. We're coming from a sense of overflowing, the overflowing of spirit, the overflowing of love, the overflowing of peace. And how can I give more of that to the world? So get focused on your vision. Now, next week, Rusty's going to be our speaker, and he's going to lead you through a process to do just that. Get focused. The second part, there will be mistakes. There will be errors. There will be failures. Along every road, there is a bump that we trip on. We talked about it earlier, right? Life. Life is. Life is. And all of those things will happen in life. And when we come at it, those bumps from a sense of not enough, it just takes us deeper into that. And it prevents us from moving forward. But when we come at it from a sense of, oh, here's a redirection for me. This is a course change. This is a course correction. That's all it is. There's a bump in the road, and I need to figure out how can I move out of it? How can I move in a different direction? How can I learn from it? How can I grow from it? And the way that I do that, that's been really helpful lately, is through the idea of being transparent. So a mistake happens. Be transparent with yourself. What's mine to own? What's mine not to own? Where do I take less than 100% responsibility? Where do I take more than 100% responsibility? And where can I let go of that and just own what's mine and own it transparently? And how can I be more transparent with those I'm working with or interacting with or being with so that I'm not hiding that true self? I'm trying to hide my mistakes. I'm trying to hide my failures or my shortcomings. And with that, I hide all of me. When I'm hiding those things, I'm not moving forward. I've made the decision to stay put, to be silent, to not shine, to be just one of the cogs. So be transparent with yourself about where that shows up in your life. And be willing to own what's yours. And there will be times when there are setbacks. There will be times when things don't go quite the way we planned. I have my giant action plan and it's not working. Anybody have one of those? Anybody experience that? You have a plan and it just doesn't go quite the way you want it to go. Last week we talked about the story of Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt and how the burning bush inspired him. That was the spark. That was the spark that said, you were to usher in this new era, the I am consciousness. And Moses said, no, I'm okay, I'm good. Thanks anyways. Ask my brother. He spent 40 years as a shepherd. And then he finally said, okay, I'll do it. And he starts leading the Israelites out. And some say it should have only taken 11 days. I don't know. It took 40 years. So again, the metaphor of the Bible is this reflection of our consciousness. We are in that 40-year wandering period when we are attached to our shadow, when we're attached to this feeling of not enough, the sense of not enough. I'm wandering in the universe, in the wilderness. And I love what Exodus says in chapter 16, verses 1 through 3. So here's what's happening. They're on their way out, with the whole congregation of the Israelites set forth from Elim, came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. On the 15th day of the second month after they departed the land of Egypt. Everyone got that math right? The whole congregation of Israelites started complaining. They complained against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the pots of meat and ate our fill of bread. For you have brought us out into this wilderness to kill us, this whole assembly, with hunger. So have you ever felt that? You're on the way in the path and all of a sudden it's hard, there are setbacks. And you're like, I wish I was just staying where I was. Eating myself full of good stuff. Not growing. Not moving. Not achieving. Not being. I'd rather die that way than to struggle and die of hunger. But you see, the hunger is also the metaphor within us because we're all hungry for that experience of oneness. That's the metaphor of this message, is that hunger that's within us that gave you that impulse to begin with, that spark to begin with, that goal, that dream, that hunger within you. And instead of, when you're feeling that hunger, instead of moving forward, we wander in the wilderness and then we complain about everyone else, especially those who are the leaders. So the key here is making the decision. Is deciding I'm going to keep going when it's tough. I'm going to keep going when it's difficult, when I'm running up against my own blocks. I'm going to keep going when, there are tomatoes and rocks being thrown at me. Because they just don't understand. There's somebody who's lost in their own shadow. Can you see that perspective? How about this perspective when you were throwing the rocks and the tomatoes? That was us living from our own shadow, our own sense of not enough, our own sense of anger and frustration, blaming fear, blaming the other, blaming everyone except for knowing our own oneness with God, the infinite intelligence of allness. That's always there, always present. And so I'm going to give you a key now to help you make the decision. The decision process where you get that idea and you move into it and you start doing it. They're on the printer. I have reflection sheets on the printer, which I'll put out on the welcome table after we're done. That you can pick those up. If you're in the Fall Enrichment Program, they have the study guide questions that can help you deepen your relationship and talk to one another about it. And if you're not, you can pick one up anyways and just allow it to help you deepen your experience of it. Last week we talked about the 5-step prayer practice, and we're all experts now, right? I'll refresh your memory. The 5-step prayer practice in Unity, our Unity's affirmative prayer practice. The first one is relaxation. Step 1, to relax. The second step is concentration. Thank you, Joe. Concentration. Concentration brings us into meditation. Concentration, mindful meditation, focusing on your breath, focusing on a mantra, focusing on an affirmation, but giving your brain something to do so that it begins to relax and move into meditation. The third step is realization. That's when we're in, go ahead. Meditation. So say it again. Relaxation, concentration, meditation, realization. Sorry? Thanksgiving. Okay, so I'm going to adjust it a little bit. Because I can. Concentration, get focused. Meditation, wait, dang it, I already screwed that up. Relaxation, and I'm a minister. I studied this stuff. We all make mistakes, yeah? We all have errors in our life. We relax. We begin to focus our mind and our attention on our breath, on our affirmation, on our sense of self. We move into a state of meditation. And in that meditation, we enter into the silence. In the meditation, we enter into that realm when our thoughts are relaxed, our ego is relaxed, and we're in the silence. The realization is when we affirm the truth. When we say, I know I am one with the infinite flow of life, love, and wisdom. I am one with all of life. I am spiritually whole, regardless of what's happening around me or in me. I'm spiritually whole. That's that fourth step. Realization, thank you. And then the fifth step is Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you guys didn't get this last week. That's why it's our daily practice. Thank you very much. I love you too. It's our daily practice. And when we practice it daily, we have the experience of being more in that oneness in our daily life and living that in our daily life by doing the daily practice, by doing it daily. So here's a story. I was listening to a book called The 5-Second Rule by Mel Robbins. Has anybody heard of it? Yeah. And I'm sitting here listening to her actually narrate it and discuss it. And I'm thinking the 5-second rule. And everything makes sense to me because what she's talking about is what we're talking about here. That moment that you get that idea, that moment that you have that spark, that great passion within you, that idea that says, oh, this is it. Here's my goal. I can see the vision. This is it. The moment you get that, you have to move your feet within 5 seconds. What happens after 5 seconds? This takes over. The brain takes over. Our sense of not enough takes over. Our yeah, but takes over. So think about this when you're having that next idea. when that occurs, in 5 seconds, you have to make a decision and take over that self before your ego, self, shadow, belief takes over. Once that's in drive, in the mode, it's a little bit harder. So I was reading this book, and it's amazing, her story. She was in deep depression for many years. She couldn't get out of bed some days. Her family was falling apart. Her career was non-existent. She was in such bad shape that she didn't know what she was going to do. And so she's lying there in bed one day, and on the news is a live shot of the space shuttle about to take off. And she hears the words, because nothing else is really going on in her head at that point. She hears the words, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And up the shuttle went. And she said to herself, that's it. She said to herself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And she got out of bed. She did that every day and got out of bed. She did that every day and rebuilt her life. She did that every day to help her move through these yeah buts. Every time a yeah but came in, she just went back to the countdown. And you go backwards because if you go forward, there's 6 and 7 and 8. And I'm not a mathematician, but I think it goes on pretty far. So go backwards to 0 and go. 5 seconds. Now, she started doing TED Talks. And in one of her TED Talks, her most famous TED Talk, at the very end almost, she throws into this thing, oh yeah, I've been doing this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. And that was the thing that everyone loved. But what about the rest of the TED Talk? No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So she started investigating it. Well, why did that work for me? And she started cautiously writing a book. She started researching it. And all of the brain science and what we know from the quantum living class and what we know from the things that we've studied, when we have that idea, if we allow that shadow sense of not enough to take over, it's an uphill battle with ourselves. Not with everyone else around us, with ourselves. So the research showed that within 5 seconds, the amygdala starts to cue in that, hey, there's this great idea that's happening. I better keep us safe. So the shadow, the fight, flight, freeze, or please mechanism goes into play, and usually we just stop and say, no, I'm good. That's risky. But if we can interrupt that pattern within the first 5 seconds, we can move on. So I started practicing this, and I did it when I was getting out of bed. Now, how many of you are snooze button pushers? Yeah, that's great, isn't it? Boop, boop, boop. So I set an intention the night before, and I said, okay, I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and write. The alarm went off. I'm like, oh, I could. Nope, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I willed myself up. And I did that every day for the next week. And that changed everything. Because that one practice was the skill I needed in the moment of having that deep inspiration to say, move forward on it. Don't analyze it. Don't figure out what you don't have. Don't figure out why it's not going to work. And, throw the SWOT analysis out the window, because what you want to focus on is moving one step forward right now. And so I started using that whenever I started having doubts about my talks, about the false program, about anything. I just thought, okay, stop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And what I realized is I was doing the 5-step prayer practice in those 5 seconds. I'm calling it the 5-step spiritual check-in. Trademark. Step number 1, breathe in and affirm, I am at peace. Step number 2, breathe out and ask the question, am I on the right track? What's my next step? One question. I am at peace. What's my next step? And in that moment, I got the sense, I got that answer in the silence, the realization. It's like then a breath in, I'm on the right path. Breath out, I'm grateful. And gratitude became something different. Gratitude wasn't, oh, that was so nice. What a lovely experience. So grateful. Gratitude was, all right, I've got the energy, let's go. And the last part was go. So, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, breathe in, affirm I'm at peace. Breathe out, what's my next step? Breathe in, pause, listen for the answer, listen for the impulse. Breathe in, affirm what is true. I am on the right path. Breathe out, thank you, Spirit, go. This helped me every time. You know when you get stressed and the anxiety starts to kick in? We all know that feeling, right? We start to get worried, we start pacing around the room, we start talking to ourselves, or is that just me? Luckily, I have an office way in the back. Nobody can hear me. When I realized I was doing that, I went back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm at peace. What's my next step? And I got the impulse. Go. I'm grateful. Here's the step. I'm grateful. Go. Every time it worked. I didn't know what the results were going to be. I didn't know whether I was going to succeed or fail, and ultimately I still don't. But what I do know is that I stopped worrying. I stopped feeling the gravity holding me back. I stopped feeling that inertia. I stopped distracting myself. When I got to the point where I want to go distract myself, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm at peace. Is this the right thing to do? Yes or no? Grateful and go. Because sometimes it was. Sometimes I needed a brain break. But it was authentic. I was transparent with myself. When it was not true, I was transparent with myself. This is not the right thing to do. So go back to doing what you're doing. Push through. It was telling me to push through. Now, I always get the ideas or the questions around whether, well, what if this isn't the right thing to do or not? What if, how do I know that it's the right thing to do? The only thing that I know is that if you turn within to Spirit, you will get a direction, an answer. What I like to ask myself is it beneficial for me? Yes or no? Is it beneficial for everyone involved? Yes or no? If the answers are yes, then I'm moving forward. And I may not know where I'm going. I may forget the 5-step affirmative prayer practice. Sorry, Unity. I may stumble along the way, but I'm going to keep going towards that higher goal of evolving out of not enough. So let's go to what am I going to do now? Here's the wrap-up. It's up to me. You've heard the saying, if it is to be, it's up to me. I think it was William Jensen who said that. If it is to be, it's up to me. It's up to me. No one else in this room can prevent me from being who I've come here to be. No one else outside of this room, no condition within my body, no condition outside of me can keep me from being who I've come here to be. And if I follow that belief, that idea, that knowing, that truth, then whatever happens around me, I'm showing up as my highest self, and I am a beneficial presence to the world. Get transparent, be authentic, own yourself, and only yourself, and have that sense of spiritual boundaries, that sense of spiritual wholeness, and have faith. Faith, I love Charles Fillmore's definition of faith. He said, faith is more than mere belief. It is the very substance of which that is believed. It works by love. That's all we need to worry about. Any thoughts of condemnation, enmity, or resistance must be released so that divine love can be declared, so that we can open ourselves up to that which is already within us. That energy, that love, that peace, those ideas are all in there.